Hi, I'm Christine Wong Jingwei and we are from Group 8. The case study that will be presented by our group is about the outbreak of listeriosis in boar. These are our group members. This is the screenshot of the news report. This is the summary of the news. A Long Island widow is suing Boar's Head for $20 million after her husband, Robert Hamilton, died from a listeria infection allegedly caused by eating the company's liverwurst in July. Hamilton, 73 years old, began showing flu-like symptoms a week after consuming the products and died 6 days after hospitalization. He is one of the 10 individuals whose deaths were linked to listeria in Boar's Head products, which caused more than 50 hospitalizations in 90 different states. Boar's Head recalled 7 million pounds of products in July after its liverwurst tested positive for listeria. The outbreak was found to come from a company's Virginia plant, which had been cited for dirtiness issues before and has since closed down. The USDA is investigating the company. Boar's Head has apologized for the contamination. The current outbreak is the deadliest one since the cantaloupe-related listeria case in 2011.
Hello, my name is Fatin, and I'm going to present for the part introduction. For our case study, we chose Listeria monocytogenes, a zoonotic pathogen, meaning it can infect both animal and humans. And this bacterium is naturally found in the environment, particularly in soil, water, and contaminated animal feed. What makes it especially dangerous is its ability to survive in harsh conditions, including refrigeration temperatures, which is unlike most other bacteria. And even more concerning, Listeria can form biofilms, and these are protective layers that allow the bacteria to stick to surfaces like equipment or food contact areas, and this makes it very difficult to remove even with cleaning and disinfecting procedures, as mentioned by Rodriguez and colleagues in 2022. For boars, especially those in wild or poorly managed farm environments, can become infected due to exposure to these contaminated sources and poor hygiene practices. And if the meat from this animal is not properly cooked or handled, it can transmit listeria to humans, causing a serious illness known as listeriosis. According to FDA in 2025, this is a growing concern for both public health and the meat industry. That's why understanding and controlling this pathogen is so important, and not just for food safety but also to protect vulnerable population. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Nur Atimah Dorin and I'll explain the sources of contamination for Listeria monocytogenes, particularly in relation to the listeriosis outbreak involving boar meat. First, one major source of Listeria is their natural habitat. This bacterium is commonly found in soil, water, and decaying plant material, which wild boars often come into contact with in their habitat. Listeria also can form biofilms, which means it can stick to and survive on food contact surfaces like stainless steel in food environments, making it hard to eliminate. Second, cross-contamination can happen during slaughter and processing. It can be from unclean pools, surfaces, or hands during slaughter or meat processing. For example, poor hygiene like unclean knives, cutting boards, and machinery can spread listeria to the meat. A study found that listeria was present in the same slaughterhouse for over 3 years, showing how difficult it can be to completely remove once it's established. Third is improper cold chain management. Unlike many bacteria, Listeria monocytogenes can survive and even grow at refrigerated temperatures. So if poor cold chain management occurs, meaning storage and transport isn't properly managed, the bacteria can multiply, especially in vacuum-packed or ready-to-eat meat. And finally, one of the biggest risks comes from eating undercooked boar meat. Raw or undercooked meat can allow listeria to survive. It is strongly recommended cooking wild meat to save internal temperatures to destroy the pathogens. In conclusion, Listeria monocytogenes can contaminate boar meat through multiple stages, from the wild environment to the plate, making it a serious food safety concern if proper hygiene and cooking practices aren't followed. Thank you.
Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk about pretty serious topic, the health risks of eating meat products contaminated with Listeria. So Listeria monocytogenes is a type of bacteria that can get into our food, especially meats, and cause an illness called listeriosis. At first, it might just feel like the flu, but it can turn into something much more dangerous if it spreads through the body. Based on research by Santos et al. 2021 and Rohilia et al. 2024, listeriosis can even lead to hospitalization or death in severe cases, especially for people who are more vulnerable. Now, who's most at risk? Mainly pregnant women, older adults, especially those over 65, and people with weak immune system. For pregnant women, Listeria is particularly dangerous. It can lead to miscarriage, premature birth, and serious infections in newborns like meningitis. Even if you are healthy, listeriosis can still cause symptoms like fever, tiredness, and muscle aches. In more serious cases, people might get headache, a stiff neck, confusion or disorientation, and even convulsions. All of these come along with the usual flu-like symptoms, so it's easy to overlook at first. In short, Listeria in meat products is no joke. It shows why we need to be really careful with how we store, cook, and handle meat, whether at home or in the food industry. Thank you for listening, and I hope this helps you to stay informed and safe.
Let's continue with what is the long-term health effect of listeriosis. As we know, listeria can cross the blood-brain barriers, which lead to the condition called as meningitis. It is the inflammation of the protective membrane that surrounds our brain and spinal cord. Infected person may experience chronic headache, hearing loss, loss of balance, and cognitive impairment such as memory loss and confusion, and even worse, it can result in permanent brain damage. Next, we have septicemia-related damage. Septicemia, also known as sepsis. It is a blood poisoning. The body response to this infection may lead to the organ damage, especially kidneys and heart. Survivors may also suffer from long-term immune dysfunction and chronic fatigue, which actually can affect our quality of life. Thirdly, we have the most concerning effect, which is the pregnancy-related complication. As my friend mentioned before, listeriosis during pregnancy can lead to miscarriage, stillbirth, or premature birth, and in some cases, the newborn may suffer from neonatal listeriosis, which is the life-threatening condition. Even if the baby survives, they may experience developmental delays, intellectual disabilities, and chronic neurological problems that affect them throughout their life. And lastly, we must consider the psychological effect of listeriosis. Survivors, especially those who experience pregnancy loss, may suffer from post-traumatic stress as well as depression and anxiety. This is because of the trauma and the long-term complication of the illness that they have been through before. That's why mental health support may be necessary for full recovery. Last but not least, although we know listeriosis may start as an acute infection, it can lead to serious long-term consequences, especially it can affect our brain, organs, pregnancy, and mental health. And these complications show us that we need to do the early diagnosis, find the effective treatment, and most importantly, do the preventive measures such as proper food handling and hygiene practices
to avoid the infection.
Now we move into preventive measures and regulations of toxins. So, by the Food Safety and Inspection Service that make sure that the FSA is warranted for every product. FSA is an in-depth assessment including in-plant review, in establishments, food safety system that verify meat, poultry and eggs products are safe, wholesome, and this FSA produce accordance with the FSIS statutory and regulatory requirements. Few things to avoid for preventive measures are any type of cheese that made with raw milk, such as queso fresco type of cheese. And then eat cutted melon in refrigerator must also avoided. And then any raw milk, yogurt and ice cream. And lastly, we have to avoid eat pre-made salads such as coleslaw, tuna and potato. Why we avoid raw milk? Because it's basically an unpasteurized milk that do not go through any significant aging process that could help kill listeria in the cheese. And for the regulation, it is separated into two categories, which are ready to eat product and not ready to eat product. So for ready to eat product, they must have antimicrobial agents, antimicrobial process, and must have the post-lethality treatment PLT to ensure the toxins existence. Next, for not ready to eat product, it must have the labeling such as bag or boiled to let the consumer know how to handle the product. Then, they also must have the SCCP category. And lastly, have the intended use statement so that consumer know what is best and when is best to consume the product. That's all. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Idrina Batrisha and today I'm going to present significant study related to Listeria outbreak. Wild boar can carry harmful Listeria bacteria without showing any sign, which is making it hard to detect and posing a risk to human through contact with wild. However, significant study has shown high prevalence in organ and tissue of boar. A study found Listeria monocytogen in up to 70% of wild boar muscle, showing the risk from eating undercooked game meat. Second, significant study has shown environmental persistence. Listeria monocytogen can persist in environment like soil and water and contaminating raw food. Wild boar contribute to this through their feces, aiding to transmission. So next I'm going to present about recent finding related to Listeria. The news that I managed to get is boar had daily meat Listeria outbreak in 2024. The outbreak occurred between May and November of 2024. The cases is about at least 61 people in 19 states were infected with 16 hospitalization and 10 deaths, making it the most significant Listeriosis outbreak in the US since 2011. The outbreak was traced to ready-to-eat RTE liverwurst and other deli meats produced at the Barhead facility in Jarrett, Virginia. Investigators found Listeria on both RTE liverwurst and a pellet jet that moved between raw and RTE areas, indicating cross-contamination within the facility. So next recent finding is regarding the frozen nutritional shake Listeria outbreak, primarily linked to product manufactured by Prairie Farms Dairy. The cases is occurred in 2018. The outbreak has caused 42 illnesses, 41 hospitalization, and 14 death cases in 21 states as of May 2025. The most affected individual, about 89%, were residents of long-term care facility or hospitalized prior to illness. The whole genome sequence and environmental sampling confirmed the outbreak strain of Listeria monocytogen in both patient sample and the Parry farm manufacture environment. The frozen supplemental shake were identified as the contamination source after years of investigation. The recalled product were 4-ounce frozen supplemental shake used primarily in healthcare settings such as hospital and nursing home. These shakes were not sold at retail but distributed directly to institutions. Despite multiple CDC investigations since 2018, the outbreak source remained undetected until 2025, exposing gap in food safety surveillance for international food suppliers.
For the conclusion, Listeria monocytogenes remains one of the most serious foodborne threats today, mainly due to its ability to survive in cold environments and form biofilms that protect it from cleaning agents. And for the recent outbreaks, including those linked to deli meats and frozen shakes, resulted in multiple hospitalization and death, showing just how dangerous this pathogen can be when contamination goes undetected. For the cross-contamination during the slaughter process, combined with poor cold chain management, has allowed Listeria to persist in processing environments. What is more concerning is the hidden risk posed by white boar meat. This animal can carry high level of Listeria in their tissues without showing symptoms, making detection extremely difficult. And for the high-risk group, such as elderly, pregnant women, and immunocompromised, they are especially at risk, facing outcomes like miscarriage, meningitis, and even death. And to prevent future outbreak, it's crucial that we enforce strict sanitation practices in ready-to-eat food facilities, apply food lethality treatments, and enhance our surveillance system with tools like whole genome sequencing. And finally, public education on proper meat handling, along with stronger regulatory oversight, is essential to reduce contamination and protect public health moving forward. These are all our references. That's all from us. Thank you.